Bluey is a global phenomenon and undeniably one of the best cartoons of the last 20 years.
Thanks, Bluey.
But did you know that the main character went through several changes since she was created, and even during her 2 pilot episodes before becoming the Bluey we know today? For example, the pilot episode of Bluey, produced in 2016, is quite different from the first episode released by Disney in 2018. It shows the little blue pup and Bandit entering the town's playground to use the swing. We can already spot some differences in Bluey's design during the intro. Notice how her belly, feet, and hands are white in the first version, whereas in the show we know, these parts were changed to a light blue color. Bluey's nose is also different. While the Bluey we know has a black, rounder nose, the pilot version has a purple, pointier snout. Additionally, the dark blue patch on Bluey's tail varies in size. In the show, the lighter fur covers most of the tail, while in the pilot, the dark blue patch is more prominent. But the changes go far beyond these small details, and we're going to talk about all of them now. So grab some popcorn, because this is Cinewave. The pilot episode of Bluey reveals something interesting. Bandit is pushing Bluey in a small puppy stroller, the kind parents use for babies or toddlers aged 1 to 3. This doesn't make sense when compared to the show, where Bluey is already 7 years old. In the pilot, it's clear they initially intended for the main character to be much younger. You can see this not just from the stroller, but also from her height. The series creator, Joe Brum, initially thought the show should focus on a puppy no older than 3. However, he must have changed his mind because making Bluey so young would have completely altered Bingo's role as the younger sibling. If Bluey were much younger, she couldn't have the dynamic, imaginative games we see between the sisters in the series. Another clue about Bluey's age change is her voice in the playground story. It's higher pitched, suggesting that she's much younger than the Bluey we know. As you may know, in the official series, Bluey has 3 spots on her back that closely resemble Mickey Mouse's silhouette, but this was different in the pilot. When Bandit is pushing her in the stroller, we can see 6 spots on her back. Although the Disney-inspired design was already there, we later find that fewer spots were used to make Bluey look more distinct from her mom, Chili. In the final version, 3 of the spots were removed and the Mickey reference was scaled down. Not many people know this, but Bluey has 2 pilot episodes. The show originally aired on Australia's ABC channel, but is distributed worldwide by Disney, which explains the 2 versions, a 2016 pilot and another in 2017. The second pilot is actually the episode The Weekend, produced as a normal episode for the series, but you can still spot some differences, not in Bluey, but in Bandit. By this point, Bluey's design had already been finalized for the show's launch the following year. Would you like to have a different version of yourself? Drop a comment with #clone so we can hear about it. In the earliest concepts, Bluey's personality was much closer to Muffin's. She was bossy, prone to tantrums, and often disobedient towards her parents. This kind of personality isn't ideal for the protagonist of a kids show, as there's a concern younger viewers might imitate bad behavior. That's why in episodes like the one where Muffin causes chaos during a video call, she ends up grounded by the end of the story, to clearly show that such behavior isn't acceptable. Bluey's personality, on the other hand, was refined into that of a curious and kind pup who makes mistakes but is willing to learn. Bandit is always teaching her and Bingo valuable lessons. Still, if you look closely at the beginning of Magic Xylophone, you'll see hints of her initial character. Bluey doesn't like sharing. 1, she refuses to stop playing with Bandit to let Bingo have a turn. And 2, she also doesn't want to give up the Magic Xylophone, preventing Bingo from controlling the game. However, since the show emphasizes positive messages, these problems are resolved through dialogue. Now compare this to the episode Surprise, where Bluey and Bingo ask Bandit to play different games with them. Bluey wants to hide and use a ball launcher to attack her dad, while Bingo wants to pretend she has kids. Here we see how much Bluey has grown. She's learned to share her dad with her sister, though she's still a pup and has a lot more to learn, just as you'd expect for someone her age. Bluey's personality has another side that many notice, her tendency to solve problems through play, which sometimes creates chaos. For example, in the Season 1 episode Spy Game, Bluey tries to control the game and stops others from doing what they want. But just a few episodes later, when Judo tries to exclude Bingo from a game, Bluey quickly recognizes that her friend is acting the same way she did not long ago. This kind of growth shows how each episode connects to past events and how Bluey's development as a character is a continuous journey in the series. We could say that Bluey starts the show as a pup who doesn't like to share much, but eventually learns and grows into a better version of herself. Do you know what layers are? Think of them as the parts of a delicious cake. At the bottom is the cake itself, the middle has the filling, and the top is covered in icing. For a character like Bluey, there are also layers, but instead of sweetness, we get details that make her such a special little pup. 2 important episodes highlight one of Bluey's key traits. She's afraid to try new things, but brave enough to push through those fears. The first example is in the episode The Beach, where Bluey asks Bandit to let her walk alone to catch up with her mom. Along the way, she has to convince herself that this solo adventure is something she truly wants to do. Another example is in the episode The Creek. Even with Bandit, Bingo, and Mackenzie by her side, Bluey feels nervous about entering the woods. She keeps telling herself she can't be afraid to try new and fun things, just like any other kid. One of the most important episodes of the series is Mini Bluey. Not because it's fun, but because Ludo Studios uses it to explain how Bluey's mind works. Bluey shows us that she loves to talk all the time, even when it doesn't make much sense, and that she enjoys asking questions, but she's not too fond of hearing the answers. She also mentions that she likes leaving her toys scattered around, which we can see in the minisode Next Door and in the episode about the duck cake, where she doesn't want to clean up her mess. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Luckily, I'm here to remind you. As mentioned earlier, Bluey's size changes over the course of the series. This reflects not just physical growth, but her evolution as a character. Ludo Studios does this with all the pups, and Bluey's younger cousin Socks is perhaps the easiest to notice. For Bluey, you can compare her height in Magic Xylophone, one of the first episodes in Season 1, to her height in Surprise, the final episode of Season 3. You'll see how much she's grown. And don't forget the episode Camping, where Bluey meets Jean-Luc. This episode gives us a glimpse of what Bluey might look like as a teenager. Aside from her height, we can see that teenage Bluey will grow a small fringe on her forehead. At the end of Surprise, fans are truly surprised by the appearance of adult Bluey with 3 major changes to her character design. The first change is, of course, her voice. It shifts to an adult tone, giving us an idea of what Bluey will sound like in her 20s.
Hey, Dad.
Fun fact, this marks her 3rd voice actor, as her teenage voice was also different. The second change is her fur. White fur, indicating maturity, starts to appear, a trait she shares with Bandit. The third major change is the spots on her back. These grow significantly, transforming from a small Mickey-like design into 3 large spots. Additionally, we see that Bluey grows the fur on the sides of her head, suggesting a new hairstyle as part of her adult look. Bluey's evolution also has an aesthetic reason worth mentioning. From the 2016 pilot episode to all the changes discussed in today's video, one of the biggest transformations is how Bluey became softer, not just in her colors, but also in her rounded features. This shift happened because Joe Brumm, the series creator, received advice from the ABC network that the show's visuals should be more appealing to children's eyes. You can see that Bluey's dark blue spots gradually became lighter over time. You might not know this, but there are rumors that Bluey was originally meant to be a TV show for adults. For example, in the pilot, Bandit letting Bluey swing high enough to flip over the swing and then hitting him doesn't quite fit with the tone of a children's program. This suggests that Brumm, the series creator, initially intended for the series to appeal to older audiences, which meant the themes of each episode would also need to mature. This also hints at the evolution of Bluey's personality, something we'll explore further down the line. One of the things that makes Bluey truly special is her unique intelligence. While it's clear our little pup is very creative with her games, the episode Ben Night reveals just how clever she really is. When Bandit gets confused about which type of trash to recycle, Bluey steps in with an explanation tied to the phases of the moon. She points out that the type of recycling changes depending on whether the moon is full, waxing, or waning. This moment highlights not only her creativity, but also her ability to see the world in a unique and thoughtful way. It's important to remember that even though Bluey is a little pup, she was designed to represent a child. Everything she says and does aims to deliver messages of growth and fun to the young audience, just like our channel does. That's why you should stick with us. We've got 2 more videos lined up for you to enjoy. See you in the next one.